Where on earth is Carmen Sandiego? No. Where on earth is the loadouts for Masteries, as well as Masteries 2.0? Now, before we go anywhere, I just want to stress that Kabam get very precious when it comes to challenging them about when they're going to deliver a development thing. Like, if I was to say, oh, well, you said in 2022, Kabam, that you'd have this, they go, well, this is why we don't say a date against stuff, because it's always wrapped up in development and it becomes something of a difficulty just to point out, look, it's just nice to see some of these features, especially when some of the features are already in game. The weird thing about this particular development thing that we're pointing out, Mastery Loadouts, Masteries 2.0, is that part of this is already in the game. Look, like me, I've always wanted to see Mastery Loadouts. The ability to go like, okay, I've got this one specific type of mastery I like, and then I've got a second one and a third type. Because I want to say to myself, right, I want to switch between different loadouts for different things within game and different moments that might happen. There may be one day that you might want to do arena, and also you might want to do some other piece of content that may rely you to kind of go, okay, let's do Suicide Masteries. Granted, at the moment, if you are a spending player, you might have access to the Arena Express mode, which, you know, if you're like myself that doesn't spend in Marvel Contest of Champions anymore, that you'd be like, well, hang on a second, trying to kind of get a bit, quicker with my arena grind would be Suicide Mastery. So the activation of Double Edge and Liquid Courage would enable that kind of quick kind of grind in arena. But then there's other times I just don't really enjoy being in that mastery setup. So it's down to specific times that I would like to switch between different types of mastery loadout. And back a while ago, this is how Kabam pitched it. Switching masteries is a pain, we know, we do it too. With Masteries 2.0, everyone will get the chance to build mastery loadouts that make switching between different builds, auto-loading for wars, and generally experimenting with masteries much easier. Great pitch. We love that kind of idea. And also the pitch was, our goal with the new system is to make masteries more flexible through loadouts and new masteries. You have more room to experiment as we originally intended. The old masteries list is being overhauled to reduce the amount of useless masteries to be replaced with added to with the brand new gameplay mechanics, tools and toys to play with in content. Now, I can't remember if there was a forum post or kind of response where this was completely kind of thrown out the water. They wouldn't even kind of think about developing this. Regardless of these dates, 2022, wanting to get in by 2022, and as I said here, our ambition was to land Masteries 2.0 into 2021. However, on our current trajectory, this may be a little too ambitious, with 2022 as more realistic. We have a lot planned, but the next item is coming first. Now, I don't know if Kabam pivoted a lot of the stuff to be more of not financial gain, because I guess that's kind of rude, but it kind of feels like that's the case. The push of 7 stars, a celebration event, and kind of content like EOP meant that, and also relics. It kind of felt like those things are the priority of the game, as opposed to stuff that I think a lot of players would like to see. But that point that I said a moment ago is the weird thing about all of this is that mastery loadouts are in game at the moment. I'm sure Kabam explained in some reason as to why it was easier to do it for Battlegrounds. I suppose in some ways because this is a specific kind of mode, but then that's kind of weird for I don't know. Sometimes Kabam's justifications for stuff I kind of get, but kind of don't get. There must be some reason as to it affecting other modes, as opposed to this particular mode here, where there isn't kind of any kind of great issue or kind of problem with it. So from a setup perspective, you go down to decks in the bottom left-hand corner ish, and then you look to unlock the different decks to then create a different kind of masteries kind of separated around it from different things. Obviously I've set it up there, but the point still remains that you have 3 that you can split between in order to kind of make different decks. I think that's one thing that I need to aspire to at some point, is to create a deck around certain different things, like different types of masteries. And here's the thing, this is why this is it's kind of weird that we haven't had this widespread, because it is so much more prevalent. If you're able to fit the amount of units required to create different decks of mastery builds, then you can change that mastery very easily around different setups. Okay, well, let's try out Suicide Mastery, Liquid Courage, Double Edge for this particular one, which may rely on debuffs being on you to trigger off something, the same way that other seasons kind of have something similar. So you'd want to have that flexibility of going, okay, well, to be honest, having Liquid Courage, Double Edge doesn't really work, isn't triggering what I want, or is kind of only good or limited for a certain in particular experience, and as well the champions that I'm using as well are recoiling damage, which isn't great when it comes to certain elements. So having that flexibility to change or kind of alter and twist things is kind of beneficial, but also it's more beneficial for out of battlegrounds in so many different areas of the game, and having that ease and flexibility. And for some reason this particular topic becomes a very, well, it's a hot topic for the community, but after a while it becomes something that Kabam seem to ignore, and I don't know why. It's just something quite odd. Some of the forum threads, which I thought, if I go back on a load, and I think I found about 10, 15 different forum threads, all of which with a continuous theme in that they haven't had a response back from Kabam on. This one, I think was, well, it says January 29th, but it could be like 2022, 2021. It's been 8 years and yet it's forgot to add the new masteries. And that's another thing as well. Like, I think those have been taken away, those particular masteries, the ones that kind of had the random question marks. But yeah, they got kind of like removed. But Masteries 2.0 is still something that that's been discussed. Like, yeah, another one here. What things were missing in the contest? Things were supposed to be long gone, long that feel that mirage to memory. Basis of course. Mastery 2.0, again, another thing that's been asked for. I get a lot of questions here and there about that particular thing, Masteries 2.0. There's a lot of things that crop up from time to time about like, well, where are these things? I think it's worse with Masteries 2.0, or mainly the Mastery Loadouts of 2.0, because the feature's already in game. That's the weird thing about this, is that the feature is already in game. So it's unusual. I can't remember as well. I vaguely remember Kabam saying something like they were experimenting around with something in the just general kind of like mastery area like here, and it caused an issue, which the reason that they've taken so long with it is that it's causing problems to other areas of the game, which is fine. It just would be nice to find a bit of an update to this, going like, hey, just that, you know, we are working on this particular feature. We're having this bit, just a behind the scenes. I know the Kabam are very kind of like, they've got worse, I think, over the last couple of years. They've been very kind of like cagey about stuff, going, well, if it's not a finished product, we can't talk about it. But then they released Battlegrounds, and Battlegrounds hasn't been in a like release state since, well, I don't think it's ever been in a proper release state. It's been a beta. The bugs continue on from season to season. This season, I've seen people saying about, and even like there's a forum thread about saying like time to take down Battlegrounds, which is this one here, which we'll probably refer to in an MCN. I don't 100% agree with some of the way that this is kind of like worded and put together, but it's a case of just looking at that particular mode and going, well, it's not the finished product. It's still very much a beta. There's a lot of things wrong with it. Kabam are making it up as they go along. So why can't they start work, or let us know how far they are with Masteries 2.0 and the Mastery Loadouts? I found it very weird. It's probably be even more weird if I can release this video and find that there's notes about the future of that upcoming. But we'll have to see. I haven't seen any release notes at the point of recording this video. So if by this video coming out, Kabam have announced Masteries 2.0, and I'm at the moment on a boat in the middle of the North Sea, which is not a joke. I am literally going to be on a boat in the middle of the North Sea. Not boat, cruise ship. Then you know, it's something that don't ignore this video. But I think it's a very good point to kind of like dissect as to like how weird it is that you know, in game we have the Mastery Loadouts in Battlegrounds, but we don't have it in the rest of the game. So there must be something going on that is causing an issue with Kabam having to be, not having to be, but having that issue between the point of getting this past the line, which is, you know, that the biggest problem I think I see with Kabam is that point of getting stuff past the line, and also transparency and letting us know, which I think they've gone back a little bit, gone into bad habits since the 2020 burnt out and bored kind of state of being kind of a, you know, questioned about stuff. But it would be nice to see what the future holds for this. I really want to see it. Do you want to see Mastery Loadouts? You know, put it in the comment section down below. We'll try and do a poll on that actually and see where people are up to. And yeah, that's been the video. Hopefully we get it at some point. Really do, because I really would like to see it. I want to switch between masteries. I want it to be cleaner. And hopefully it's not too expensive on units, which is another issue as well. Like, it costs a lot to switch between, different masteries, and it should be made fairer. Especially because, and that's another thing as well, they allow for it. Once you've paid like a base kind of like level for the likes of, your decks in Battlegrounds, that's like, well, why should you pay any more units for switching it? If you buy it once, a new deck, then it shouldn't cost you. It should be the same thing as like here. Like, I get it. You have to spend units. Again, I get it. But it would be nice to have some kind of like more economical switches for players. But it may be a money thing for Kabam. In any case, thoughts in the comment section. Check out some other content located on screen. And I'll see you all soon. Much love and goodbye for now.